Santa Clarita and everyone listening in from around the world. You are listening to the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker right here at KHTS, your hometown station. Hello, friends, and welcome today. This is the hour where we talk about grief and a broken heart. If you are listening to my program, there's a huge probability that your heart may be broken. It could be from grief that's happened long ago, or even from the breakup of a romantic relationship, or from a divorce. Regardless of the cause of your broken heart, I'm not going to tell you how you feel. You already know. At best I can tell you is that I know what it felt like when my broken heart occurred, and it was not good. So friends, we are here today for 1 hour to just talk through different ideas that can help us with the grieving process. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have an amazing guest, and I'm so excited. This is Miss Rebecca Kellogg, and she and I met a few months back, and actually someone suggested that we should meet, right? They were like, you should meet Sharon Brubaker, and you called me, and we've hit it off.
Yes, Lisa Silva.
Yeah, and we totally hit it off from the first meeting.
We did.
And I love being with you and being around you, and I love how our businesses kind of intertwine, and we get together to talk for a lunch date or a meeting, not a lunch date, but a meeting, and we just keep going and going and going.
We have a wonderful time together.
So my friend, Rebecca Kellogg, I asked her to come and be a guest on my show. Rebecca is an energy mastery mentor. And Rebecca, introduce yourself to our friends and just tell them as much or as little about yourself as you'd like them to know.
Thank you, Sharon. So I'm an energy mastery mentor and a Reiki master teacher. I've been an intuitive my entire life. I'm very sensitive to energy, and I'm empathic. I can sense other people's emotions and the energy going on in patterns for people and for groups, and even for larger patterns like businesses and communities. It's really an interesting way to see the world, and I've done a lot of work over time to cultivate these gifts so that they can be as useful as possible, and to help me develop the skills that I need in order to mentor others to navigate the world this way. Because what I find is that so many of our leaders and creatives and our service providers are naturally gifted empaths, and so they're so sensitive to other people's emotions and to energy, and they can be very intuitive. But what we find is that our culture traditionally does not provide a lot of education around what you do to develop and cultivate and manage the intuitive gifts that you come into the world with. A lot of, like, our classical education is very logic-based, very scientific-based. And so when we get into this arena of, well, what do you do if you're a leader or a service provider and you can feel the emotions of everyone you're working with, and then it might make you a better leader or a better service provider, but then some days you might wonder if you're going crazy, or you might find it difficult to put that down. And so one of the things that I really help people with is learning how to navigate the energy of their life, their career, and the impact they want to make in the world, and kind of get the energy of their inner world sorted and elevated, and then get them some coaching and support in how to develop those gifts into something really magnificent that they can then bring into their work so that their talents can enrich the lives of all of those that they serve and that they lead. And I just love what I do. I've got great client success stories, and I'm continuing to build my practice now over time.
That's so cool. I love hearing all about it. We get so excited and we want to share all about it, and that's so cool. That's one of the areas I want to kind of focus on today is actually entrepreneurs and their business. But let me ask you, I'm gonna simple it down for just a second. When we say energy, what are we saying?
That's a great question, Sharon. So from my perspective, everything is energy. If you think about it, even our bodies, if you take it down to a very simple level, we have so much energy within our own systems. Emotions are energy. And then the healing theory behind my practice and a lot of the work that I do is that there's a big part of who we are that kind of exists in this group space that we call the unconscious realm, or that could be called the collective unconscious. And this is where we get our stories and our legends from. and a lot of our archetypes happen, and we have stories that we as a civilization will believe about what is possible for us, what we can achieve. But it's also where the stories live that we tell ourselves. Right. And sometimes we don't even have conscious awareness of these stories. They could be handed down from our ancestors about what's possible for us, and then we're living in this energy that we only have like a certain level of consciousness of. Or it might be energy stories in our culture about what's possible for women leaders, for instance, or what's possible for a self-made entrepreneur who's the first entrepreneur in their family. And a lot of the upper limits or the barriers that people feel like they're bumping into. And a lot of times when people hit these barriers, they'll feel like they're literally running up against something, and they'll try to move forward, or they'll try to go up, and it will feel like there's something holding them down, or things will keep happening that just seem to prevent them from achieving their goal. And it can be heartbreaking, because a lot of times people will just think, oh, it's not my fate to be successful, or, oh, it's not my fate to really live my dreams. But often what's happening is it's not fate, it's the energy stories that are happening in the people or in our culture that are kind of limiting how far this person can go right now. So when they go in and they start working with those lower levels of stories, it's a spectrum. So things that are making them play small, those can be gone in and actually be dealt with and negotiated with, resolved, so that then people can have more room for expansion. And it's a really interesting way to work with human development and personal development. And it's also fascinating to see how quickly people can shift after they get the opportunity to go in with someone who's trained like I am, to take a look at what stories are playing out for them and what patterns are there, and then to start to shift them into something more useful. It's just mind-blowing.
It's so exciting. So I'm just going to re-clarify here, because this is what I love when you and I talk. I'm just like, yes, I get it, yes, that's it. So basically, we tell ourselves stories, and sometimes they're playing so tiny in our little subconscious or in the back of our brain, we don't even hear that story.
Yes.
And so what you're telling me is that sometimes even an entrepreneur, let's say, like myself, could be telling myself a story, and we can't figure out why we're not breaking through, why we're not able to get through us in a certain area. And so what you're doing is you actually come in and you spend some time with them, and sometimes these stories are handed down that they've just heard them, lived them, or inherited them over a lifetime, and you're able to break through and release that energy, which is so cool, right? And so you actually work with businesses as sort of like an energy coach. I could even say it even like that. So you kind of get in there with them and look at their business and look at the entrepreneurs and see what's kind of stopping them and holding them back. Is it stuff, Rebecca, that you discover once you're sitting in there, or are they you're really listening to their story and feeling kind of where they're going and what direction they're going in?
That's a great question as well. And I'd say it can kind of come from different angles. Often people will be very drawn to my work with maybe not even having an entirely clear idea why. Just something within them will be like standing up taller and raising their hand and saying, yes, there's something about this that really feels like it would help me. And then they can get drawn in, and I get a lot of visitors to my website. They love to download. I've got a free ebook there on healing lineage wounds, and it's got some do-it-yourself exercises on how to start to heal the stories that you get from your ancestors, and also some of my most popular writings on the subject. But sometimes people suspect that something like this might be playing out for them. And then it's not until they get in there and start doing those exercises that they start to be able to isolate what it is that's been going on the pattern level. And then sometimes I'll have clients come in to see me or come to one of my classes, and they'll say, I just felt very drawn to be here today, or to come connect with you. And they'll say, here's what I'm working with, here's where I'm getting stuck, and I'm not sure why. And then often in those cases, I just open my intuition, and I can read intuition and stories very fluidly. So I kind of would compare it to swimming like a mermaid through the realms of stories of what are happening for people. And so I'll just say, well, I see this happening with your energy. Like I'll share a very common one, which is that sometimes people will be in business or in life, and they'll just be so service oriented, so loving, so giving, but they'll also feel this grief, which I know is one of your best topics.
Yeah.
That because they really wish they were connecting with people in a more profound way, because they just feel they want more of that heart connection that comes. And this is an interesting thing that can happen with people, and I've seen it many, many times, where people can end up putting a barrier around their heart, around their energy, and it can be made up of trapped emotions. And sometimes it's not even their emotions. Sometimes it's the emotions of their friends, their family, and their clients or students. Because if they are gifted and they know how to lift others' burdens, sometimes they'll be doing that without really knowing on a conscious level that that's what they're doing. They'll just know that they feel heavier after the work, and that everyone leaves them feeling amazing, but they feel kind of heavy after that. And then that, if they don't know how to discharge that or set it down, or find a healthier way to help facilitate that process, it can end up weighing them down. It can end up being this barrier around them that's blocking them from having like authentic heart-to-heart peer connection, or having like the deeper level of love relationship they're wanting. And it's because they're so dang good at lifting other people's burdens, but then they haven't been taught what to do with it after that. So that's an interesting challenge.
When I'm holding this?
Yeah. So I've worked with people a lot for that pattern. And that would be a case where I'd help them, first of all, set down everybody's stuff. Sometimes they've been carrying it for decades. And I'm just so in awe that some people have the stamina. And often if they've been doing that for decades, they could be very unwell at that point, because it takes a lot out of someone to be carrying that much of other people's energy for so long. But once they've discharged it, we've gotten it all cleared out of their system, then I work with them and coach them on, here's how you can be that helper that you are without taking on everybody else's literal emotional baggage. So it can be life-changing for people very quickly to learn how to work with energy.
That's so amazing. That's so cool. I feel like for me, when I'm working with a griever and they're sitting in my office, even when there's a group, that I'm hearing you say this, and I'm like, well, what am I doing? And I think I lean into it. It's quite often that I go there with them, but I'm able to. I just think when I see their faces and the energy that brings, that I'm able to kind of write it out. So that's kind of cool. What happens when a new person comes to you? Well, let's say they're not even sure they should be there. How do you start with somebody like that? Like if I were new in business and I say, I don't know, I just can't get doors to open. Is there anything you could help me with? What would be the first step? What would you do?
I think the first step is I would connect with people to see what they've established so far and then where they want to go. I do find that there's a certain threshold that people get to before my work can be the most effective for them, and they need to have a level of being really grounded in themselves, a level of having achieved a certain level in their career. They've achieved a certain level of training, a certain level of confidence in their expertise. They've established themselves enough that they are really able to own who it is, who they want to help, who they are, what they're doing. And then once we've got to that threshold where they're established enough that there's real energy behind it, that's really kind of where my sweet spot is, and I can help people go a long ways once they've achieved at least that much. So I would work with them on their own. We could look at the inner patterns and say, okay, where exactly is the disconnect happening? Like, what is your big goal here? Is that really, and then we'd look at the bigger patterns and say, is that really in alignment with your goals? Because sometimes people will say they want one thing, but then if energetically they're really better suited for something that's a little bit different, it can they'll have a really hard time getting traction towards the thing they say they want sometimes. And it's because it's not in alignment. It's like one of their feet's trying to go one way, and the other foot's trying to go the other way. So moving forward can be a problem. So helping them get that clarity and kind of the focus about what is really aligned, and then helping the actions and the energetic intentions be lined up can be a big deal. Looking for energy leaks, and there's an exercise I do with people where I walk them through their own energy system and the energy of their business and help them identify where the leaks are. So that can show up as time leaks, as money leaks, as attention leaks, as focus leaks. And it actually shows up energetically when I go into journey work with people. We can walk through and actually see it. And there's something about taking people into, I call it the liminal realm. It's the realm of story, metaphor. It's also where we go when we're watching movies. It's this liminal shamanic journey space. So when I take people into that space, it's a really visceral thing, because it's not like it's just this mind-to-mind intelligence conversation. We're actually in it. So if they're at all intuitive, or especially if they're at all good at visualization, they'll be really seeing things. They'll be seeing things. They'll probably like have a felt sense of things. They'll feel it with their whole body. So they'll like literally see where the leaks are. And when you see things like that and you journey and you can see what a difference it's making, it can be really good for helping get leverage for pivoting, because you suddenly have this whole new understanding on an entirely new level about, oh, that's what the leak looks like. And I'm just going to heal that leak, because now that I see up close what it looks like in the energy ecosystem of my business, I realize I'm ready to heal that and have a tighter ship. So I work with people on the energetic piece where we do journey work, and that can be majorly healing and life-changing. Because I don't go in with my plan for how I'm expecting people to go. Like, I might have some idea, because I've worked with a lot of people. I've seen patterns emerge, but I give people the grace of choosing their own path, because I'm like, okay, here's what's going on. Would you be more comfortable if this was happening? And they're, oh, yes. So then we go in and we do repair work, or we do shift work, or we clear out stuff that doesn't belong there. We bring in supportive energies, and it can be a really nice leverage point to start making some big positive change.
So you calling them leaks. So they're exactly like what I would imagine, like something is leaking out, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when clients come to you, do they know they're having these leaks, or this is just stuff that you're finding for them?
I think they can be aware.
Okay.
But often it will just come up as something where they have all this ambition and potential, but somehow they're not achieving it.
Okay.
And it's either going to be they're going to have leaks, or they're going to have inner wounds from their lifetime or their ancestors, or there's some other misalignment, and that's usually what's going on.
So when you have an entrepreneur that's setting up their business and really putting a ton of energy, but then they feel like they're coming up to blocked doors, right? You and I talked about this, that it can cause a grieving experience. It can literally be a grieving experience of, this is my baby. I put this all together. I'm putting all this money in here. This is really not, something is not working for me. Why is this not going? And it could literally be the energy that they're bringing to it, or they just haven't looked at it in the way that it should be. And that's where you step in.
Yep.
Where you step in and you're like, let's take a look at this together and look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
It's great. And I will say sometimes it can be a wake-up call for people. And I also think it's really nice to be able to, because I feel like by the time people get to that point where they're grieving, they're also to a point where they're willing to be, maybe have this new level of openness and even honesty to themselves. Because a lot of times the grief is not necessarily just about, why have I not made a fortune yet? It's often about unmet expectations.
Right.
We have this American dream vision ideal that of, the person who starts out, they put all their work into it and they make something amazing, and then they change the world and their life is wonderful after that. And that is an archetypal myth. Because if you look at the path, this is one reason why I love reading biographies so much. Nobody's life is that clear-cut and straightforward. We all have challenges. And so I feel like it's important to, I feel like there's so much value in reading the full biographies of successful people. Because what you see as you start to read those things is success is not an overnight experience. It can take a long time.
Yes.
There can be a lot of, that's one reason that I really, really, I love seeing when people go as bootstrapping as possible for as long as possible and not invest in a lot of big, expensive things until they're established and they can fund more of that with their business revenue, because it can take a while and there can be failure. Maybe the first business venture is not the most successful, and maybe it's the fifth one. And so, being aware that there's cycles, that there's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be wins. It's important to celebrate the wins and not put your love of your life and joy of it on hold until all of a sudden you're living the dream. Those are important life lessons, and there's so much that's valuable there. Sometimes people need a reframing, though, because there is this dream that so many people can kind of almost get hooked by, and I don't think it serves them to really make progress.
I would imagine, Rebecca, even a corporation or an entrepreneur that's been doing their business for, let's say, 20 years, and they're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go in, or it's just not as fun as it used to be. You could even take a look at something like that and see what is the grieving experience that's going on with that. Why are they not wanting to go in? Why the shift, right? Why is this not as fun as it used to be?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
take a look at that and just really do some examination through that.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the 43 known losses that we know a person can encounter over a lifetime and grieving experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about them quite often. And struggling through your own personal business is definitely a grief and a loss. So I love that we're talking about that today. So, guys, we are so happy to have you here, my friends. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have some fun conversation with Rebecca. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why you should work with her. So I'm really excited to keep this conversation on and talk about grief. Okay, Santa Clarita, join us right back here at KHTS, your hometown station. We'll see you after the break.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
All-Star Sports Grills is the best place in town to catch a Dodger game on one of their 17 screens and choose a cold one from 23 different tap beers. All-Star Sports Grills prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order menu, including half-pound Angus burgers. Enjoy an all-star comedy show the fourth Wednesday of the month. All-Star Sports has a pet-friendly and smoking patio. All-Star Sports Grills on Bouquet Canyon, north of Plum Canyon.
You know something? Today would be a great day to ride a carousel. Ride a unicorn or a ladybug on a carousel. Today. It's also a great day to touch a lizard or, feed a giraffe. Cross that off your bucket list. Or find out just how a gorilla starts its day. Speaking of endangered animals, giraffes too, your visit helps save these species. At the LA Zoo, great days happen every day. Plan yours at lazoo.org.
Start your great day faster. Buy your tickets online and skip the line at lazoo.org/visit.
Friends, welcome back. Sharon Brubaker, the Grief Recovery Hour, right here on KHTS. Thank you, friends. I almost forgot who I was there for a second. I'm having so much fun. And my amazing guest is Rebecca Kellogg, and she is an energy mastery mentor. And we've been talking about energy and as entrepreneurs in our business, in our lives, how you can help discover that energy, whether they're using it properly or they're just feeling something is not quite right in their life. And I'm loving this conversation. So I'm letting you talk because I really love everything we're talking about. One of the things you also do, and see if I'm pronouncing this, Reiki. You're a Reiki master. Mm-hmm. And that's part of your training and what you use. Do you always use the Reiki?
That's a great question as well. I like to tell people that I work with 4 levels of energy at a time in session. I do local in-person sessions out of a massage therapy studio in Valencia. And I also do phone sessions on other days. So during a session, if it's local hands-on, I will be running Reiki. That's a hands-on light touch energy shifting modality. Otherwise, I have an intention during a session that the healing energy will be flowing to support my client in whatever way they need, or the class if I'm teaching a class. The second level is shamanic energy shifting. So that's like if someone is, here's a fun one. If someone's had a relationship or a business venture or stuff in their past that they I think it's like they just haven't cleaned house. You don't think about this, but every time you've got an experience or emotional stuff come up, if you're not doing regular energy clearing or release work around that, it can build up over time. So eventually your energy body can look like one of those kitchens off of Hoarders that has all the stuff.
No, don't tell me that.
And that's what can happen is a lot of times when people are feeling really stuck or like they just don't know quite how to move because every time something happens, then they end up feeling emotional about it. that can be one of the things that could be going on, is they've got all these stuck emotions and old energy from their past experiences that just really need to get cleared out. So I can do shamanic energy shifting and just guide people through how to connect with and then release with love, and in a way that's very easy and light, so that they can just feel lighter and freer. And that just lets their energy expand. They can feel better in their own body. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And then the third level I work with is, okay, so I already said Reiki, and then the shamanic energy shifting. That's where I can work energetically and just help them just shift that right out of their energy field. The third level is shamanic guided journey work. So that's where I'll take people in, I'll show them and guide them through what symbols or stories or whatever's coming up. I've had feedback from people that say that they feel like working with me is just having a giant play date, because we go in and play like, it's free association time, imagination and creative time, but it's also very effective for getting the job done, for helping people feel better. And it's non-confrontational. We're just talking about the metaphors, about what the energy looks and feels like. People don't have to give me great amounts of detail if they don't want to. We just kind of say, oh, here's this, it feels like this, and we're done with this, so we're ready to release it, so we're going to let it go now. And we're going to call in this other thing instead. Sometimes people do want to talk, and I'm open to hearing them if they need to express, but it's not required for them to go into any kind of detail. And then the fourth level is my energy coaching, which is my favorite thing.
Wow.
Well, I love all of it, but the part that really excites me a lot is this part where I mentor people a little bit on here's how to now go forward and choose healthier energy patterns going forward, or here's how to take a more empowered stance in how you relate to your work to feel better and have healthier boundaries and not let it feel so heavy for you. Or here's how to set up a regular clearing schedule so that you don't end up carrying the stress of all your clients. So that's so fun for me, because I usually do that throughout, or in a few minutes at the end, I give them just kind of a takeaway. And the feedback I get from people is it can change the way they show up for their work, and they can feel so much happier, more peaceful, less bothered by stuff, because they're starting to align more with how to work with things instead of feeling put upon by them.
So I'm also thinking of something, thank you for sharing that, is that you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. I know that I have been in working for bigger corporations where the office energy is just not that great. You hear people say that all the time.
Yeah.
Or the women in the office are not getting along, or there's just something just doesn't feel right. Like someone who loves their job but just maybe doesn't love their space could come and see you and just kind of get that part worked on as well. They could just get some coaching with you on how to sit in that office space, and maybe even get it to looking a lot different and feeling a lot different.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I could have used you a career or two ago. What is tending the energy? What is that exactly?
So I would compare tending the energy. That's a great analogy. And the way that I approach energy work with people is a lot of people will choose to work with me over a longer period of time, either one-to-one or in one of my group programs that are all designed with different goals in mind. Then some are self-paced and some are working with me directly. And these are set up because I believe energy tending is a practice. So just like you would wash the dishes every night, or just like you would go to the gym a couple times a week, or just like you'd benefit from, going and washing your car however often you need to based on how much you drive, your energy is so important as well. But many people don't know how to take care of this energetic side of themselves, and when they neglect it, they can end up feeling as though their life on the surface looks really good, or they look really good on paper. I've heard that a lot lately from people. But then if you look inside of them, they're feeling hollow, or they're feeling like they haven't been taking good care of themselves, or they're feeling like they don't have the meaning in life that they crave, or that they're not living their potential, and they don't know how to do things differently to make a change, to step up more into what they want to have, who they want to be, and the impact that they're meant to have on the world. A lot of these people that come to find me feel like they have a calling to be of greater service, but they're feeling like they're trapped in a maze, and they don't know how to get out of their own way. And they feel this hopelessness, and it's like this interesting combination of euphoria over having this big mission and despair over not knowing how to execute. So I'm a really strong person for people to work with, especially in pairing, like if they get a really good business coach and then they work with me on the energetic side, that is a really strong pairing.
Wow, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's just doors opening wide. Is the tending something that they will continue doing for themselves at night? Do you give them, I'm going to call it homework. So do they have regular homework that they need to do as well as far as tending to the energy?
Yes, that's one of my missions when I work with people, is to help them become more, I'd say, fluent within themselves, to help them become better at reading their own energy and learning strategies for working with that, and also reading the energy around themselves and learning how to manage that better, so they're not like blindly walking into a storm at work, for instance, but saying, oh, I'm going to go around this one and it's going to be better for me and the situation. That's a skill that can be learned, is figuring out how to navigate. So I find that over time, people do get better and better at dealing with smaller things and bigger things at work and in their personal life.
I would imagine, Rebecca, that just sitting with you and talking and getting some coaching sessions, that that alone would give me new energy and new excitement into wanting to approach it in a different way. So that's so cool. I mean, I'm hearing you talk, and I'm thinking about all the people that could benefit from your services for sure.
Thank you.
Let's say if we're in a corporate setting, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going back to the corporate setting, and I just want to advance my career, but those doors are not opening for me. Is that someone that could come and see you and sit with you and spend time with you?
Yes, and I've got a great story for you. I have had corporate clients, and I've really enjoyed them. Often they're people who are established in their career. I've had some managers come in. So I have this unique talent where I can connect with the energy of a corporation or an organization and see that as a soul as well. And I can do healing for the soul of a business and help it do its own energy clearing and its own balancing, and help people who are working within that business to establish a more mindful relationship with that company and its partners. And that's a fascinating energetic ecosystem that happens, because if you think about it, we're in relationship with everything in our entire lives. So anyone that works for a company is going to have a relationship with that company as an energetic entity, whether they're conscious of it or not. And hopefully you work for a company that's a good umbrella for you and that you enjoy. But there might be some aspects that are a little bit challenging or out of alignment. So I've worked with people, and what I've found with helping people attune to that soul energy of a business is they start to find more synchronicity, like things start to get lined up a little bit faster. We start to find that they become more aware of the nuances of what's happening within the flow of the company. We start to see that they're being more attuned to opportunities, that they feel like they're working with the energy of the company instead of against it. So it's been really interesting to see what kind of things are possible for people when they start working in flow like that.
That's so cool. I can just imagine people are like, oh my gosh, I got to contact her. I need my new promotion. So one of the things that you and I talked about is living in the future. That's also something that I work with my grief clients, you know, when they're really looking in the future and it's scary and dark in that future. How do you approach someone who is stuck in the future? Because I feel like we can be stuck in our future with worry, right? And then we can be stuck in our past with a lot of regret. But how do you work with someone specifically with their future, and if they're feeling stuck or afraid to go into that future?
That is a great question. So I experience, there's an aspect of my work where I help people step outside of what they are perceiving as time. Because if you think about it, people, I know, you make a face at me.
I'm so excited.
Well, if you think about it, people will say, well, I can't change the past, but I regret it so much. Or, you know, I'm just so scared of the future. Or I just can't stand this thought of what might happen in the future. That's all projection. Yeah. So if I can take them out of that and say, okay, we're going to go back in the past. What's going on for you there? Oh, that sounds heavy. Are you ready to put some of that down? Let's do it. And it's such a relief for them. But then with the future, that's something they're projecting into the future. So what we can do is we can step out of the now, go into the future, like imagine going into the future. And then in that shamanic, liminal, very visceral space, we can say, okay, what future would you like to create? Like, let's not get stuck on the one that you're nervous about. What would actually feel really good to you that's conceivably realistic and that you would love to create? And as we start to make that more and more vivid, that becomes what they're visualizing. And then we can imagine creating the path between that future and where they are now, and then energizing that with love and positive intentions and joy. And that can be, like, I've done that work with people, and they can often report it's like electrifying. They start to see amazing shifts in their life within a week. So that's a really fun exercise that I've loved.
And you said something in there in that sentence, and that's living that with intention.
Yes.
Knowing that you're going that way with intention and
Yes.
being prepared for that future that you would help them set up. That's so exciting.
Yes.
Did you see me get excited there?
I did.
What about if I'm not living the perfect life that I want, the ideal life, or the ideal life that I think I should be living?
Yeah, that one's rough. I think I see that a lot, especially for people that are either they're perfectionistic or they're hard on themselves, or they grew up in an environment where they felt like things were hard on them, or they had felt like they weren't living up to an invisible standard that who knows who had set up for them. So for me, if I feel like people are not able to embrace that, I think it's a lot of self-forgiveness work, a lot of self-love development, kind of bolstering that inner self-love reservoir that's then accessible as a wellspring of joy and able to live life in the now. And I think it's an analysis, because I think as we bring more and more conscious awareness to what is it in our life that lights us up and delights us and actually feeds our souls, and remember we talked about energy drains?
Yeah.
Sometimes certain things in our life are operating as energy drains. And some of them we don't even have to have in our life. We can just get rid of those things. And some of them we do need to have in our life, but we can mitigate that and say, what can I do to make this less draining? Or what can I do to replenish myself as soon as possible after dealing with that drain? So there's definitely things that can be worked with. That one's usually not as easy of a fix, though.
That's kind of cool. I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's a lot of what I do, the same thing in my grief work, is that we definitely look at where our hearts are broken. And sometimes those are in the past. And so I'm actually doing, that's why I call it a homework. I'm actually doing an action step that they're actually working on for themselves and kind of deciding for themselves where they're going. So that's what's really kind of cool about that.
I love that.
What about setting grounded goals for themselves and not being too crazy, you know, with these goals, but realistic goals, right? Just a little bit, enough to just push me a little bit, but knowing those goals. So that is an area that you can help them with as well.
Yes.
Kind of knowing whether it's even realistic, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one as well, because I think we get, I know in the entrepreneurial world, in the business world, there can be a lot of messaging around, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
And you want to be the best you can be. And that's true. However, if that's your whole game plan, you could be setting yourself up for either living in the future and being stuck and not letting yourself like yourself in your life until that happens, which is then going to make that less likely to happen because you're not being self-supportive on that inner core level. Or if you're so fixated on that's the only thing for you, you're going to miss out on all the other good stuff that could happen. So I think it's good to not make it too narrow of this is the only thing that will do for me, but be open your heart to all the goodness that can come. Because you might get a path that totally surprises you. And if you're open to taking it and enjoying it and loving it, that might be even better than that thing that you dreamed of.
And it may have been that was your path all along.
Yes.
But you just weren't accepting your gift, right?
Yes.
So you almost have to be like with open arms and an open heart so that it all does come to you.
Yes.
And that could be the simple shift that someone needs to help
definitely.
them open. How cool is that?
Yeah. So I think goals are important, but also reevaluating and then maybe setting a range of goals. So little goals, medium goals, huge goals.
Right. Oh, definitely. I agree with you for sure. Because every time I try and shoot for that $1 million a day, it's just not happening for me.
That's a big cliff to jump up the face of, even if you've got a cape.
We also talk about helping people come back to reality, knowing their reality and knowing where that reality is and what that reality is for them. Sometimes people just aren't there. They want something that's too big, right?
Yeah.
So they want something that's too big. So you can help them say, okay, let's shift this a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one too, though, because I find that when people are desperately desiring a goal that's clearly a huge jump, it's usually actually an internal piece where they're not being accepting or approving of themselves. So they're setting a goal that on some level they can sense would be a huge, like maybe not quite appropriate for them to do yet. It doesn't mean they'd never do it. But, I think it's nice to shoot for some easy, reasonable wins.
Right.
And then, I mean, a session with me, people could experience that as a miracle if it would just feel amazing to not be carrying people's energy that they've been carrying for 15 years, right? So that's a win. And then that could step into next they're going to go for a goal that they wouldn't have gone for before because they were carrying everybody's energy. And now they're feeling more clear. So they're able to go for a small goal. And then they work up to some bigger goals.
I always get so excited when I sit around you because I can see it totally working. I mean, I can see people coming and being in your presence and literally just changing they're shifting their minds on the way they're thinking about or approaching that business. Just the 1, 2, or 2 punch. Earlier we talked about leaks.
Yes.
And I think some of our friends may have missed this, so I want to go back over it. Some of the leaks can be money.
Yep.
And that's an area that you definitely work in. As well as energy. You said energy, money,
time,
attention,
and emotions.
So I want to touch on money for real quick.
Okay.
Is that it could be that the money is going coming in and going right out.
Yep.
And that's where you can find out where that leak is. Guys, are you hearing me here? Find out where that leak is and help them to solve that have a different perspective. on that.
Yeah.
On that. So that can be money. So I wanted to bring attention to that. Did you want to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So we have, I think that can be a little bit unique to each person, but the ones that I find around that is there can often be a strong ancestral piece with that. So I do a lot of ancestral lineage healing around money stories that can be transformative for people. If there's a family story about, we can't hold on to money, or there's not, like if they lived through the Depression, so there's this ancestral expectation of just having some money and they want to have a stronger amount of money, there can be a good amount of shift work that can come with ancestral healing. Then also checking to see if someone has an energetic container to hold the money, if they're energetically able to hold that and be comfortable with it. And then if they're not, I'd go in and say, okay, what stories are underneath here? They're telling you that that's not safe or that's not okay. And then if we start healing that, then maybe that could let the container, the comfort level rise with holding more of it. Or like looking at the cause of the individual leaks, like what's this? Is there some guilt or some shame? Not even current. It doesn't even need to be current. It could be in the past. But if someone's still holding on to guilt and shame, one way they might help deal with that is to spend even when they don't need to. And so by healing some of that and lifting some of that stuck energy off, it can also be a help.
Wow. And so the same principles apply with time.
Yeah.
So we look at the time, see where the time is going. I love this conversation. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. We're going to take another really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have some fun talking with each other about 10 reasons why people should work with you. See you right back here, friends, after the break.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
My favorite restaurant in Santa Clarita? Salt Creek Grill, of course. Great food, neat atmosphere.
For a business lunch or romantic dinner, I'll always go to Salt Creek.
Hi, I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. We have created Salt Creek to provide you with the most comfortable and inviting restaurant in Santa Clarita. Enjoy fresh mesquite grilled fish, aged steaks, and the best chops imaginable. There's entertainment every Friday and Saturday night, and we have the best Sunday brunch in town. Salt Creek is on Town Center Drive in Valencia.
Hi, Santa Clarita. This is Rosemary with Beyond Harmony Med Spa with some great news about Kurt Stinson. Now, why am I telling you about a plumber? When I had a horrible plumbing situation at my house, Thanksgiving morning, house full of people, of course I called Kirk. He rushed right over, took care of our problem. The prices were so reasonable, I couldn't even believe that I was paying that on Thanksgiving Day. If you need a plumber, Kirk Stinson is the guy to call.
Plumbing by Kirk, 263-6519, or visit plumbingbykirk.com.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call the Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrecoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
Step into a hot shower or slip on a warm t-shirt fresh from the dryer, and you can feel the comfort natural gas gives us every day. For over 100 years, Southern California Gas Company has provided safe, reliable natural gas service. It warms our homes, powers cleaner vehicles, and cooks our food at a fraction of the cost of other energy sources with less environmental impact, today and for decades to come. Natural gas, part of the clean energy solution. Learn more at SoCalGas.com. Search solution.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Patty Handy, host of Starting Over with Patty Handy, has written several books that speak to our audience. 50 Ways to Flourish After Divorce. Divorce can be one of the most painful experiences in life. Having someone who understands the pain and loss can help in the healing process. This book shares powerful tips to help you not only survive divorce, but thrive. Getting through the day can take every bit of energy. This book was purposely written in short, easy-to-read segments. Start the healing process and move toward a life of happiness and joy once again.
Welcome back, friends. This is Sharon Brubaker, and you're listening to the Grief Recovery Hour right here in KHTS, your hometown station. I have an amazing, amazing guest, and her name is Rebecca Kellogg, and she's an energy mastery mentor. And we've been talking about healing energy, tending to energy, energy for entrepreneurs, and energy through grief. Mm-hmm. And that has just been an amazing, amazing conversation. I have enjoyed every moment of it. So I hope you guys got to see it. We are Facebook Live, guys. Rebecca is tagged in that Facebook Live, so if you have any questions, you can add them right there. And I will definitely put her information in the Facebook Live, as I often do, which will be really cool.
Thank you.
But I thought we'd do something kind of fun, because I saw on your page that you have 10 reasons why people should work with you. And I thought some of these are so cute, I wanted to share them. So one of the reasons is that you grew up in Utah. And that's totally cool. So tell us a little bit about growing up in Utah. When did you move to Southern California?
I moved to Southern California when my husband got his first job out of graduate school, working over in the Valencia Business Park. He's an aviation engineer, and he's at the same location.
Wow.
And that was, 16 years ago. So it's been a while.
And when you were 4, you fell out of a tree.
I did.
And you got 40 stitches.
I did.
Where?
Just under my knee. It barely missed my knee. And so I didn't land on my head because the tree put a branch through my leg. So I think it saved my life.
Wow. Wow. That's so cool. It's not cool that I love that you added this to your webpage, because it lets everybody know so much about you. And you love yoga and hiking.
I do.
So outdoors.
I do.
Is that a family event or is it a solo event?
I'd say family and individual. I really enjoy the energy of the outdoors. I find it very restorative. I connect with trees so much. I actually teach meditating with the tree classes here, like how to connect to the energy of trees and like communicate with them. And that's been very well received.
Wow.
But it's really good for stress relief and refueling.
Oh, I bet. I can just imagine hearing the rustling is kind of exciting. Mm-hmm. You love biographies.
Oh, yes.
And one of your favorites is Maya Angelou.
Yep, I love Maya Angelou.
And Katharine Graham.
Yeah, wow, she's a powerhouse.
One of the other things that you love is your skincare.
I adore skincare.
I think this is so cute. Mm-hmm. These are so cute. They're on her webpage, guys. You got to go and check this out. And number 10 is that you love energy healing.
I do.
Yeah. And so there are 10 amazing reasons that someone should work with you.
Thank you.
And I love them because they're so cute, and it lets us know who you are for sure. So share with us a little bit real quick about the different programs that you offer.
Okay, sure, Sharon. So my entry-level program is called Healing Ancestral Money Wounds and Sabotage Patterns. That's a self-paced program. At the moment, it's a 4-part series. When people purchase it through my website, if you go to RebeccaKellogg.com and click on the Work With Me tab, it's got all my programs there. So Healing Ancestral Money Wounds and Sabotage Patterns is a 4-part guided audio. If someone were to buy it, then they'd get 1 email a week that would have a different journey every week. Takes them into connecting with the ancestral realm, and in that I've encoded it with the energy of healing money wounds and sabotage patterns. So it releases old trapped emotions. It releases a lot of tension around old stories. I've surveyed the participants. They've had some really beautiful progress after working with that. They've helped them feel much more connected with their ancestry. They've shifted past money blocks, moved into greater success. It's been a really fun one. Then I teach workshops in Southern California, including occasional Reiki workshops, occasional workshops on other things. I have a once-a-month meditation night, 3rd Thursday of the month. And then I also I'm in development right now with a business program for entrepreneurs. And if anyone wants information on that one, email me directly because I'm about to launch a beta round. That's going to be a 6-week program. I'm condensing my 6-month program into 6 weeks, so it'll be like an overview, but it will be 6 powerful areas to look at to help master the energy of your business.
Can I interject here? Here's the thing that's so cool about this. I love that you went around and you interviewed entrepreneurs.
I did.
And I was one of the entrepreneurs that you interviewed. And just asked us really poignant questions about our business, dealing with our business, how we're dealing with our business on a daily basis, what things bring us high, what things bring us low, all these amazing questions. And then you're able to go back on your own program and make it fit the people in the community here,
yes.
which is so cool.
Yes, I look for trends, I look for the needs, and then I build my programs to meet those needs because my mantra is I always want things to be as useful and uplifting as possible. So this program is going to be amazing. I'm about to do the beta round, and then after that, it will be launched as an evergreen on my site. And then my high end is I've got a 6-month, it's called the Shamanic Mentorship. It takes people through many different levels of personal development work. It's life-changing. We go through inner child work, past lives, connecting with your angelic guides, the archangel realm, nature spirits, double-strand relationship healing, ancestral work, and it's a 14-unit program over 6 months. All the audios and things are already made, and then you get like regular group coaching things with me as well. So that is an in-depth, spirituality-based personal development powerhouse to help people master their intuitive gifts.
And if someone didn't want to do, let's say, a program, but they just wanted to meet with you, especially after hearing this amazing show today, they could just contact you and set up an appointment to meet with you one-on-one.
Yep.
And you guys could do what work they feel that they need, which is amazing. But what I'm so excited about is that you have a free gift for all of our guests today.
I do.
Listening friends.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Okay, so if anyone would like to go to RebeccaKellogg.com, that's RebeccaKellogg.com, I have a free gift for everyone on the main page of my website. There's a little opt-in box, and it says, sign up here to get healing lineage wounds. And you also get to try my newsletter. So the ebook is a collection of my most popular and exciting writing on healing ancestral wounds. And it includes a couple of exercises to help people get traction on starting to shift the energy of the patterns that they've inherited, either consciously or not, from their lineage.
Wow, how cool is that? So we're going to put that webpage in the Facebook Live, guys, so you can find it there. It's a great way to find Rebecca, and Rebecca.com. They can always go there and find you, RebeccaKellogg.com. They can always find you there. I want to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for bringing this amazing energy and this amazing topic that I absolutely love. I love talking about this. And so, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today, my friends. Rebecca is a gem and a jewel here we have in Santa Clarita. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great week, and we'll see you right here next week.